Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of my documentation of a TDI conversion into my 1984 Vanagon. Stay tuned. I had the motor in about a month ago, and I'm just kind of slowly pecking away at things. Right now, I'm working on my ProVent crankcase breather filtration system. I found this, I think it was like a 1 1/4 aluminum tube. T-fitting, and with that it goes into the ProVent, and I kind of have it built a little bracket down here. And the ProVent's going to kind of live down here. Breathe the tube in from the crankcase to the top, and then in the bottom I'm going to have a 90-degree elbow, and I just took 1-inch silicone hose, 1-inch 90. There it is. It's in a tight little fit, and I'm going to build a catch can at the bottom of the ProVent. I'm just going to have a catch can for now. It's recommended to go back into the engine, but I may plumb that in later. Here's another view of the T-fitting going into the turbo. Fuel filter attached to the firewall. I just screwed in, screwed in a hose clamp. But I ended up using the original drain, because what I did was I cut it and beveled it off and hose clamped it in, and it had points ever so slightly, not even at a 45-degree angle, to back to the motor, and it clears the wastegate rod, because I was having some issues with that. Silicone hoses. Here's, it gives you an idea of what the motor mount looks like. Here's my bell housing adapter for the transmission. Built really well, no issues. We're going to bolt on, pull on hose, and I'm running it. I'm going to use zip ties to kind of secure it, but it's just running right over the top of the transmission. And I have the 84 smaller stainless steel coolant lines and the GB silicone hose kits come with a bigger fitting. So what I did was took the original coolant hose and cut it, and it slipped right on as a spacer. Carl Mollendorf suggested that. Thank you. Here's my vacuum pump. I was reading, to prime the oil pump, you take this off and you can spin the oil pump and prime it with a drill from here. Here's my one-way vacuum pump line. Over here you can see my bracket for the pre-cleaner. I didn't really know how anyone else went about it, and I was looking at this bracket for the ARB, and it fits perfect. So I just took some flat stock and slid it in, and just slid the hardware into how it mounts up anyways, stock. Bolted that down with four bolts, and I'd say it's about a foot. Drilled a hole, hose clamped it, and just built this little fitting. And it's really solid. I don't think it's gonna be going anywhere anytime soon. Here's the Donaldson air filter. This is how I have it oriented. Here's the water drain. And it goes into this bracket. It's on William Poole's his AHU Vanagon conversion. He did a lot of great stuff. Definitely check that out. I used that heavily for this influence of this build, along, with days and weeks of searching forums and asking questions that were already answered. Mid-February 2018. Took about a month off from this build, just getting back into it. Started wiring in the relays and tried for a start, and realized my clutch was still engaged. I tried bleeding the lines. Found out I put the throwout bearing in incorrectly, so I ended up pulling the transmission, which was a blessing in disguise because I had put the TDI clutch in, which was the wrong size. And on Instagram, someone posted that I didn't put the throwout bearing in, which I didn't. So I had to put that in, and thank you for that. Shout out. I ended up putting back in the stock Vanagon clutch, which still had a lot of meat left on it. And what else did I do? Oh, found out my hard clutch line was broken, so I had to rerun that. And I had just pulled it. Here it is, running the whole length of the van. So I'm going to try to duplicate this exact setup and then run the line all the way through. Here's the gas tank. I pulled it and just slapped some paint on it. All new lines. My filler tank. Another thing for the diesel, from gas to diesel conversion. Drilled out the gasser filler neck to accept a diesel nozzle. I pulled the front radiator and sucked out all of the pre-existing fluid, and I just flushed some water through it just to clean it up. Waiting on just some mounting brackets, new tabs, all that. I wax oiled all the interior. Also, while I was in here, I ran all my lines because I have all the space right now. So I ran my turbo line, my EGT line, and I ran an extra line just to be safe for when I convert the alternator, for example, and maybe an oil pressure gauge, or who knows. I rebuilt the steering box, new tabs, greased everything up, cleaned everything up. I adjusted the throttle cable by pulling this out and cleaned up everything underneath there. Here's a view of the foreign auto supply coolant bracket. I just mounted this the other day, drilled holes through, painted it with Pour 15. Waiting on a new one. I dropped this one, cracked it. Don't drop coolant bottles when it's cold out in the winter. Here's my solar panel lines. I was gonna run an intercooler fan, but I think for now I'm not gonna run it. Still haven't figured out the dipstick. I have enough oil in it, but it's not reading. I may try to cut this tube down. Who knows? To be continued on that. Here's the manual injection pump LT28. I had to get this clip that holds the actual bracket on. I got this from Brickworks. You can also get a from Brickworks this washer that holds this throttle cable piece in, but I took a 3/16 E clip and Worksman. Alright, I'm gonna try to start this thing.